With that being said, that kind of leads into the first topic, the main event of Survivor Series.
I haven't felt the way I did after a match since the streak got broken. I mean, obviously that had a little more of an edge because it was the streak, but
Yeah.
when they've been hyping this match up for a while with Goldberg and Lesnar. I mean, the thing is, I was expecting a shit match because, I mean, it's Goldberg. He's like 50. Lesnar, suplex, and that's the match.
Yeah.
So that's what I expected for a good 10 minutes of my life. And then, Goldberg walks out. His entrance was longer than the entire match itself. A spear, another spear, a jackhammer, that was it. And I was completely shocked because, I thought they were going to go the route with, Lesnar was going to do the job to someone who, could have benefited from it. But instead he does the job to, the up-and-comer Goldberg, just got called up from NXT. I don't know how good of a decision this was, considering it makes you think, how much of a good decision now was Brock beating the streak. The thing is, I hate Lesnar. I can't stand the man as a performer and as a wrestler. So I'm glad it happened, but at the same time, I'm also, a little upset because it makes, the streak look like it's nothing.
I myself agree with Colin. It kind of made the streak look pointless.
Well, what was
Like,
your
in a way-
overall thought when it actually happened, though?
I was kind of happy because it kind of set something up, and it wasn't like what I expected. Because, let me tell you, I agree with Colin. I was expecting suplexes and old rusty-ass dude wrestling, which it kind of was still. But, I mean, it was... I think it set up something very good. Now, I don't know what's going to come out of this. I know Royal Rumble's coming up soon, so, I mean, I doubt they're going to have Goldberg win, because... And even if they do, I doubt they're going to give him the belt.
Yeah.
But I think what they're going to probably do is try to have Kevin Owens go over him, so, Kevin Owens can actually
I
fight
don't
Lesnar
think
or
so.
something.
I think they're setting up for Lesnar and Goldberg at Mania. That's what I think they're doing.
I mean, I could see that working, kind of, but I doubt it's going to be... that's the thing. They can't, have a repeat of WrestleMania 30.
Well, there's no way that Lesnar was going to get squashed like that and for him not to finally get his window in Goldberg. It's the Rock and Austin effect.
That is true, but I don't want to see, fucking WrestleMania 32, him, half-assing the performance and just overusing suplexes. That's the biggest thing I fear, because, granted, it is hyping, alright? I don't mind, a few fucking suplexes, but if you're gonna, go overboard and just, use that, the whole fucking match...
Yeah.
I mean, it gets repetitive and boring, and everyone's just... that's the thing I think that might help WrestleMania 33 have a big boom, is because they saw something they didn't expect. They saw Lesnar get his ass kicked in, 3 minutes.
Not even 3 minutes,
people...
a minute and 20 seconds.
Oh, I thought it was 3... Oh, then...
It was 90... It was bad. Less than 90 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, I do think it sets up something good for WrestleMania 33, because people are not going to know what to expect in the match, because of, what happened. Everyone thought that was going to be the end result, and they thought some people thought Brock would win or Goldberg would win, but they never thought like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a moment, I know, the two previous opinions were, completely against this. In terms of a moment, I thought it was probably the best move they could have done for this singular moment as a main event. If you're looking at it as a show on its own with Brock versus Goldberg and you want to see a match, just a match, if you want to see Goldberg defeat Brock, this is probably the best thing they could have done because it was a shock into the system. I can't really judge it yet. And I don't want to judge it yet until we've seen more of this. Because all we've seen is one match. We can't judge everything around this one match.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's say they don't go anywhere with this. Just Goldberg doesn't go anywhere near Brock ever again. He just goes on to Royal Rumble. Let's say he goes against Roman Reigns. It's pointless. It completely just destroys the point of the breaking of the streak.
Yep.
Now... if you put it into perspective of they're going to stay with Goldberg and Brock going against each other, these are two beasts. They're on the same level. Okay.
Yep.
Now, who is really going to, other than Goldberg, who is really going to defeat him? That genuine question. Who do you think would really beat Brock Lesnar?
I have a few, but I'll save that for my opinion at the end.
Okay. Because we have had Cena, and we have had Undertaker do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cena did it at Extreme Rules, though, and that was before he broke the streak, so that doesn't really count. Yeah. And The Undertaker did it via a bullshit way, although it was still kind of cool.
Exactly, though. Exactly. Yeah. Even the Phenom, even WWE like to put like this facade on people, right?
Yeah.
We like to live in characters.
Yeah.
As the Phenom as a character, he's supposed to be probably the one of the most dominant creatures in the WWE, right?
Yeah.
He's untouchable.
Yeah.
And the fact that Brock defeated him, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
WrestleMania or not. So Goldberg defeating the guy who beat Undertaker, that lifts Goldberg even higher.
Yeah.
It's whatever they want to do with it now. It judges it. It's too early to say yet. Okay. Yeah. But as a moment, it was fine.
So I originally, everyone was pissed off when it did happen because I was like, Brock didn't do anything in that match. I was pissed off because one, I realized that a lot of people got shipped out of their money because this was a match they had built up. Everyone says 2 months, but I think they built it up pretty much since the summertime because I remember seeing YouTube videos when they were hyping up the game about Brock Lesnar, Goldberg possibly gonna wrestle, and then they have been building it up for 2 months, and everybody, they pretty much ripped off the fans out of their money.
Yeah.
They really just did it probably for the money. They didn't do it for the match itself. I don't really know if they had a game plan with what was going to happen with the match itself. I thought I was just pissed off when I saw it because I'm probably the only one here that, at least out of two people probably here that paid for Survivor Series. The other two, at least that are here.
Do you mean the other three?
Yeah. So I was pissed off because I felt ripped off. The fact that it was the main event was even stupider.
Wait, how much did you pay though? If it's the network price, I mean, it's a steal even if that match happened. Because if it was the original pay-per-view price, then yeah, I can see where you're saying, "Oh, I got ripped off."
It was the network price, yeah.
Yeah, so then you didn't really get ripped off in a sense that they have a shit ton on the library anyway, even with that match happening the way it did.
But I paid my money for that match at Survivor Series too, so and then long term, I think the one guy did this. Goldberg is a part-timer. It should have been a new young star. If you're going to do this type of squash, you should have done it with like a new young star coming up from NXT, possibly a Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, not Goldberg, because I just don't see this going anywhere. And if they are just going to do another match anyway and just have Brock Lesnar get his win back, then it was all for nothing. We just talked about they just threw away the streak because Brock Lesnar was the guy that broke the streak, and they were getting return on investment for the streak, and they pretty much just threw it all away. They made the actual full-time guy roster look bad because Brock Lesnar has destroyed Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania. He pretty much destroyed Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, who was the champion at the time. At the time when he was facing him. Who else has he destroyed? He's destroyed pretty much. He destroyed Randy Orton at SummerSlam. But Goldberg, a guy that hasn't wrestled in 12 years, like a match full time, not because I know he's done run-ins, but who hasn't Goldberg, a guy that hasn't wrestled a match in 12 years, could just come in there and just completely destroy Brock Lesnar. It was unbelievable. I personally think that this is going to be bad for both guys because it's two part-timers. If it was a full-time guy like Nakamura, Samoa Joe, maybe Finn Balor, hell, I even would have been down for Roman Reigns because of their history together to finally overcome the odds and be the one to beat Brock Lesnar. Not that I hate Goldberg, it just I didn't think was a good booking decision.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's my thing. So I'm gonna go now. Here's I have many opinions on this, so I'm gonna try to make this as brief as possible. So
I know all of them.
the first thing I want to say now is, as far as this being pointless, right? I don't think it's pointless, and the reason why I don't think it's pointless is because WWE only long-term book these two guys. Let's be real right now. That's the only two people, other than Cena, not even Cena anymore. These are the only two guys long-term that they are booking legitimately right now. So my thing is, with that being known, they're probably going to make Brock Lesnar get so pissed off that he lost to Goldberg the way he did. He's going to be even scarier than he would have being cocky and just walking out to the ring and not even trying. Like, this may actually show a side of Brock Lesnar where he'll actually try now at every match. So that's why I'm thinking, like, if they have Brock and Goldberg at SummerSlam and then they bring up Shinsuke Nakamura, they can have a SummerSlam match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Brock Lesnar after Lesnar got his win back from Goldberg in dominant fashion, maybe, to the point where now you actually have a legit reason to care. Can Shinsuke Nakamura topple the Beast in a feud? And I would do a one-and-done match. I know this would be a series of matches with Goldberg, but the way I do it is have Shinsuke just Kinshasa him every single time that Brock tries to fight him. Just like he was doing with Samoa Joe. And honestly, it kind of makes sense timeline-wise. Because if you're having Shinsuke have a monster feud with Joe and Goldberg have a monster feud with Brock Lesnar, the only logical reason from that point is to have Brock Lesnar fight Shinsuke Nakamura at some point in time. You know, that's how I see it. The second thing I want to say is apparently Brock Lesnar let him get this win because I think they're friends in real life. But here's the thing. Long term, Lesnar losing, even if he lost some of his stock in the process, quite frankly, even if he wasn't willing to let Goldberg beat him, I would have fucking made this motherfucker lay down, all right? This guy has gone and represented the WWE, okay, and went to UFC, drugged out of his fucking mind to win a fight. All right, and keep in mind, I was one of those people to give it a chance. To give it a chance before people jump to conclusions, because by that point, not everything was official. Now everything was official right before SummerSlam, and then he gets a dominant win at SummerSlam. And then a guy like Roman Reigns fucking gets, and a guy like Berto Del Rio gets suspended for fucking Adderall. Are you fucking me? Like, no. This guy at least deserves something to the effects of his stardom to drop. And if that meant getting squashed by Goldberg in 90 seconds, then you know what? I think that's the best decision they could have done long term, because that means that the sponsors won't actually be walking on eggshells. So there you go. I mean, that's why I think this was the best decision. I was so, honestly, and this is coming from a fan too. I'm thinking of it from a business standpoint as well, but as a fan, I was pissed off when he got this huge spot where he just knocked out Orton for really no reason. You know what I mean? Like, a guy would kill for that type of spot, for that type of monster spot. Kevin Owens would kill for that. Samoa Joe would kill for that. You know what I mean? And this guy who fucking gets drugged out and gets to go into a UFC fight gets to win? Are you fucking me? The way he did, not even the fact that he got the win. I wouldn't complain if he won the way he usually does. But the fact that he won the way he did? Why? And for what? You know, so I'm glad that he lost and got squashed to Goldberg. That, honestly, it's a personal thing. I was shocked when it happened, but I was super gratified. I was gratified when it was all said and done. I was totally happy for this.
I just want to say, James, I agree with you 100%.
First off, not everyone can look like a freaking idiot to Brock, all right? He's got to have some competition.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, the fact that he can just go in there and just squash guys and feel like he's untouchable and he's like, oh, well, I'm only doing this or I'm not doing the match is fucking horseshit.
Do you think he's been told to do that, though?
The
way they want to book him.
Maybe,
you know?
but I think it's stupid if they're going to do that.
Because I think, like, if Brock wants to walk, if he wants to be, like, this dominant character, right, he's earning enough money. He can go whenever he wants.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be here, you know?
That's
But
the
he
thing.
wants to be here.
I don't think Brock cares. I don't think. See, here's the thing. I don't think he cares. He might. I mean, I'm sure he probably, like, if they went up to him and said, hey, you're going to lose every match for the next 5 years, I don't think he'd probably agree to that. But
obviously,
I bet,
agree with that.
but I bet, even if he even if he wasn't guaranteed like this dominant streak of victories over the last couple years that he's been back, I think he still would have done it if like a loss was thrown in there every couple of matches, because he's getting paid. I mean, think about it. He probably got paid millions of dollars for 90 seconds of getting thrown around in a ring. I don't think it's about the wrestling for him. He just likes money.
I agree. I agree with you. That's totally what Brock is, or at least what he used to be. You know, he's come out and said that completely. That's not.
Said that. Yeah.
That's a fact. You know?
I mean, but if he wants money, there has to be nights where he at least tries. I'm not saying every night, but like, there has to come a point where you have to put on a competitive match with someone. Yeah. But no, he goes in there in the main event of SummerSlam. Keep in mind, this is the WrestleMania of the summer, and just fucking squashes him and knocks him out. You know, after what he did at UFC. That's what boggles my head, is like, this guy, he literally went to UFC representing WWE, finally combined a tide that was severed. Brock Lesnar could have been the ambassador to bring UFC and WWE together. But no, what does he do instead? Drugs himself up to win the fight because he wanted a big payday. The fuck? If I were Vince McMahon, I'd suspend this fucker. Especially if you're going to suspend guys like Roman Reigns and Alberto Del Rio for freaking Adderall.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
I'll say this. With everyone in sports, they all do some sort of drugs or anything like that. But, you know, whether it's an overdose or not, so they all do some sort of drug. They all do something. And the whole thing with him saying that this was to punish Brock Lesnar for what he did at UFC, I think that they wanted to punish him. They would have done it at SummerSlam. I don't think that was their intention at all. When it comes down with this whole Randy Orton Brock Lesnar thing, I personally didn't mind the whole match because Brock Lesnar had just conquered the streak, something that nobody else has ever been able to do. He
just conquered the streak, though. He conquered it like years ago at this point.
He conquered it it still was a couple of years ago.
Still.
And I personally think that if someone can conquer a streak like that, that's something that Randy Orton, Edge, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, CM Punk, a bunch of former Hall of Famers in past that I can, Kevin Nash, I personally, Kane,
No, I get what you're saying. If he dominated The Undertaker like he did at WrestleMania 30, then he should be able to dominate guys that tried to go up against The Undertaker. Here's the issue, though. Here's the loophole behind this. Undertaker suffered a concussion halfway through the match. So, when he returned and fought Brock Lesnar for SummerSlam in 2015 and Hell in a Cell 2015, he looked like $1 million.
Yeah, he did.
So, that should give Brock Lesnar some more competition. But no, what does he do instead after his feud with The Undertaker? Goes right back to the same old boring suplex. Why? It's like...
Do you think it's because they didn't want to hurt Goldberg and they have future plans for him?
Well, I mean, he's in the Rumble. That's the thing. He's in the Rumble, and I think the way they're going to build him up is probably a way that clearly he's not going to win, but there's a chance he might.
I think Brock Lesnar's going to eliminate him.
Because he had that dominant performance against Brock Lesnar, you need to kind of push him forward. You need to kind of follow through with it and have him win the Rumble. And maybe not necessarily win the title, but lose a title match against Kevin Owens, if he's still the champion, or Roman Reigns, or whatever. Even Chris Jericho, if you want. He needs, or if they want to do this Brock Lesnar rematch, you have Brock Lesnar either in the Rumble match or come out during the Rumble and just completely beat the crap out of Goldberg and cost him the Royal Rumble. Because if you want to do the rematch, you have to give Goldberg a reason to want to do the rematch, not just Brock Lesnar. So that would kind of work out. Because he would just be weird if Goldberg just decides to fight the guy after he's beaten him twice, and one of the times he just squashed him in like a minute. And if you just have Brock Lesnar, I really don't like the booking decision you have, Jane, with Brock Lesnar just beating.
No, I'm not saying beat him in a dominant fashion, but I think it would be have it as competitive as it was at WrestleMania 20, and then have.
No, we don't want that. We don't want that.
No. Here's why I'm saying that is because everyone booed the match. Everyone's like, "Oh, the match was horrible." No, the match itself wasn't that bad. That's the issue. The match, especially if you make it no holds barred, which is what I would lead it up to. But I think that people would be more receptive to it because they know that one guy's going to stay and then one guy's going to go and not going to show up after this match or whatever. But whereas at WrestleMania 20, both guys were leaving. So I think they'd be more receptive to the match now.
Not just that, not that they would just leave. They both didn't give a shit. You can even... Yeah. So that's why the fans did with the match. I think they would have been fine with it if they had actually tried, but they both didn't give a shit. At least now with Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, we'll both give a shit.
Maybe. Well, Goldberg might. I don't know about.
Well, you can feel Goldberg gives a shit. I see with his promos and all that. You can feel that he gives a shit.
He actually does give a shit. Colin, you hold on. Colin, you were gonna say something?
I've noticed Goldberg is going eerily similarly down the same path Sting did, because you had the video game, you had the big Survivor Series appearance. He's gonna have a match at Mania that he shouldn't lose, but he's going to anyways.
Well,
so I just really hope Goldberg doesn't face Rollins, because we all know how that worked out for Sting.
Oh, God.
I'm with Colin on this one, actually. I think he's onto something.
Oh, God, yeah. No,
I agree with Colin. But I don't think that Seth Rollins is going to hurt him.
But no, to that, switch the characters. Maybe it's Kevin Owens. So, Goldberg maybe faces Kevin Owens for the title.
No,
I'm not saying Kevin Owens is going to take out Goldberg, but I'm still saying it's going down the same line that Sting did. He's going to have, that video game DLC, the Survivor Series appearance that blows things out of proportions.
I mean,
the Mania match he shouldn't lose, but he's going to. He'll probably get a title shot at some point in the future.
Well, maybe if that's the case, then maybe at the end of the day, they may be doing this to punish him if they actually go with a new guy and decide to have Goldberg as the guy who passes the torch. Is that what you're saying? Like, you think that they decided to switch on Goldberg to pass the torch now?
I'm not saying like they're trying to emulate what Sting was going to do. I'm just saying that like they're kind of, piggybacking off what they did with Sting. They're doing the same thing that, Sting did but with Goldberg.
Well, yeah, but I think it's too early to tell one. But even if they do that, I honestly I'll say this. If it's Kevin Owens, fine. If it's Kevin Owens, fine. If it's Seth Rollins, that's iffy. But or hell, even a Samoa Joe, because Samoa Joe is, I'm assuming, losing the title in Osaka at some point. in 2 weeks or whatever, or in a week from now, actually. Now that we're recording this, but my thing is, right, if they do that, maybe this is their way of saying, you know what, Brock, we don't need you anymore. We got Goldberg. That very well could be the case because, honestly, if I were Vince, I'd be doing that after the bullshit that he produced on our company.
How much longer is Brock Lesnar signed for? Because isn't 2017 like the last year on his contract for appearances?
I think so. Yeah,
it's somewhere around there. Because like to my knowledge, from like what I gather from all this is like a fossil fuel kind of machine that WWE are running. So like they want this stereotype where Brock Lesnar's kind of going like stale a little bit, I guess, in some people's eyes. Because again, what the vibe I'm getting from everyone is that they're sick of seeing the same match.
Yeah.
Where like everyone's just dominating him. Because people used to love him, and I just say like, yeah, it's all right, it's fun, you know. When everyone's like, oh my god, it's fucking terrible. It's like it's just always been the same. It's always it's just kind of getting stale.
My cutoff point, honestly, was when my cutoff point was with when he dominated Ambrose. I thought it was ridiculous how he just dominated this guy.
Lazy.
Yeah. Exactly what Johnny said.
I thought Ambrose should have gotten something from that. Maybe not like not a clean win, but like a cheeky roll up or something like that. Because that's the way like Ambrose.
But it's like Brock Lesnar goes in there, and he has brutal matches with guys like The Undertaker, right? And bleeding and shit, using weapons and whatever. We're building up to a no holds barred match where the three main weapons that are being hyped up are a barbed wire baseball bat. Chairs were being hyped up, and for some reason, a lead pipe and a chainsaw. I don't know why. And the only thing that got used was the chairs.
Oh man, we need to take Brock to Japan again.
Yeah, being able to very bad at WrestleMania.
Can I ask you guys something? Do you think WWE like kind of like kills off legends, like kind of like tries to injure them on purpose? Like I don't know. I get that feeling.
I doubt that. I mean,
it was a very medieval mentality. Like Randy Orton says, like I accidentally, like you know, his ancestors used to do that. That is a very known thing to do in the old style of wrestling.
So this is the status quo. I think pretty much everybody but me was in favor of Goldberg squashing Lesnar. It's just that's the result.
Well, I'm in the middle. Let me say this. I'm not opposed to it because I am not a Brock Lesnar fan. I was rooting for Goldberg.
Yeah.
I was rooting for Goldberg. I wanted him to win.
I wanted him to dominate him just like he did to I really wanted him to dominate him just like he did to fucking Glacier. I did not give a shit. I wanted to see it.
Exactly. I mean, there's the part of me that now the streak is pointless. But I'm still, I was happy with it. I was not opposed.
I disagree with that. I don't think it was pointless still. I think that that's another thing. That was the third thing I was going to say. I don't think the streak is pointless. And actually, that was going to be the second topic anyway. We're already discussing that kind of. We could do a free-for-all on this anyway. But my thing is, I don't think it's pointless. Especially if Brock Lesnar lost to a guy who had a streak of, like, what was it? Like 100 and whatever?
I think it was 173.
And keep in mind, the only, I think, 10 or 11 times he lost was due to outside interference or some bullshit.
But he lost to a guy who hadn't wrestled in 12 years. He lost to a guy.
I get that. I understand that. But it doesn't change the fact that first off, it's wrestling. So not everything has to be legitimate. Let's get that out of the way right now.
Well, there's a lot of things in wrestling where the logic behind them makes no sense, but but as a wrestling fan, you have to know that sometimes things aren't going to make any sense, but that's how they do make sense.
Yeah, like Brock Lesnar, if what they do is actually what they're going to do, right? And they're going to build up to a no-holds-barred match at WrestleMania 33, and the way they're going to do this is have like Brock Lesnar and Goldberg get eliminated each other, and they're just brawling to the crowd area, then that's fine. Because at the end of the day, Brock Lesnar gets his win back where he's actually trying in a match, and he's being more brutal most likely than he ever would be when he first broke the streak in from then on forth.
We should have like something similar. In my opinion, correct me, like no. We should have something similar with Brock and Goldberg. They're both the same, like the unstoppable force versus like the immovable object. We
Yep.
should have. It should be JBL versus Eddie Guerrero.
Why that comparison? Actually, what?
Right. When you watch JBL versus Eddie Guerrero, right, and you look at the
Oh
final
yeah,
feud,
yeah,
both of them are
yeah.
fucked
Yes,
up.
yes.
Right.
I agree with that.
That is
That was
what
gross.
you want to see.
It was gross. It was gross. Yeah.
WWE, at least in my opinion, want to live in this area of moments. They don't think long term, or they want to make a chain of a moment in a pay-per-view. Right?
Well, here's my issue, and this is my big issue. Like, this is a thing where I think we can all agree on here. If the WWE can turn a moment into a long-term storyline with two consistent feuds leading up to a WrestleMania match between Goldberg and Lesnar, and then leading up to a match between Shinsuke and Lesnar, to where Shinsuke ultimately gets the W and slays the Beast, like for real this time, like the real, like, I'm gonna just beat the crap out of you, UFC fighter, NCAA German your ass Brock Lesnar, who's actually trying, then I think WWE would be doing a hell of a job there. Because then they'd actually be booking long-term stories for once. Because right now, if Goldberg, my point is, right, and we can only hope that this happens, but if Goldberg squashing Lesnar was the catalyst to all that for actual story booking change, so be it. I'm fine with it. It helps the product.
Yeah.
I think it would have been better if Brock Lesnar hadn't lost one match since, like, clean. It would have been better if Brock Lesnar said, I haven't lost, or Paul Heyman said it, my client hasn't lost one match since, since he's broken the streak fairly. And then you have him, and then you have at SummerSlam them say he's calling out for an open challenge at SummerSlam, and then the outcome Shinsuke Nakamura gets caught up to the main roster. Then you can do that squash match. Everyone would get.
I don't. But my thing is, Owen, I don't want it to be a squash match between Shinsuke and Brock Lesnar, though. That's why I'm saying it was the perfect time to do a squash match between Goldberg and Lesnar now, and I'll explain why. Right. So you got a guy who turned. He acted cocky. He got too cocky for his bridges, and he got beat. That's how Kimbo Slice won his fight in Bellator. Like, guy he was fighting got too cocky, and he ended up knocking him out. It happens. This was, and this is where I say it actually does make it look realistic, because people do that. People get cocky, too cocky for their bridges, and they get knocked out. It happened to Conor McGregor, for hell's sake. And it happened to Conor McGregor.
When you build up their ego, they think they're all that shit.